Hello to all of my hole-in-the-wall gang camp friends. This is your friend Jeff, and you may know me from last summer as Jeff on the keys, but today I'm going to be Jeff on the cards. Ayo! Alright, so today I am going to teach you 3 super cool intro magic trick techniques. The first thing I'm going to teach you is a fan, which is just kind of a cool, fancy way to spread out the cards, like so. The second thing is called a spring, which is another kind of fancy card manipulation thing, kind of like that, okay? And then the last thing that I'm going to teach you is more of like a little tool that you can use in a bunch of card tricks that already exist. Like this is something that tons of card tricks use, and it's called a double lift, okay? But I'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so how to do a fan. So the first step is the setup, okay? And so all you gotta do is take your dominant hand, I happen to be a lefty, and you put your hand on the cards just in this way, okay? So this is what it looks like from one side with my thumb, and here's how it looks on the other side. So the way that you want to do this is from left to right, make sure your thumb is kind of in the middle of the cards, and then from top to bottom, you want your thumb to be pretty low down. I have this nice little circular design on these cards, and so I like to put my thumb kind of on the bottom half of that circle, okay? So you do that, and then all you got to do to make a fan is you take your thumb kind of along the ridge of the cards, and you just push with your thumb, and there you go. You have a fan, okay? So the important part with bringing your thumb around the cards is you want to start with your thumb kind of on the back of the cards, and the back I mean kind of closer to these 2 fingers and further from your thumb. So you're going to start on this side and move your thumb to the other side as you're dragging the cards out, okay? So by that I just mean kind of slowly bringing your thumb up the backs of the cards as you go. Because if you don't do that, if you just kind of leave your thumb kind of towards this side, towards the back side of the cards, you'll get something kind of like this, okay? And so, you know, some of the cards fanned out, which is nice, but as you can see, most of them kind of clump together, so that's not super great. So what we really want is, as you're bringing the cards out, to slowly bring your thumb forward with the cards, so that you kind of individually drag each card out as you're moving your thumb. And so that creates like a nice kind of even, smooth fan. All right? In terms of how hard you hold the cards, I would say you don't want to hold them super duper tight, because again, you'll get this kind of clumpy thing. And you don't want to be holding them so loosely that they kind of like fall apart in your hands. So you want to hold them kind of gently, but tightly enough that you have like a firm grip on the cards. And, oh yeah, that's a fan. Okay, so now onto the spring. So I'll show you again kind of what it looks like. So there you go. So that's a spring. I like to keep it super close because, if I'm being honest, I'm not super amazing at it by any means. There's some like professionals who can do it like from here to here and catch all the cards and make it look absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure with enough practice you could do that as well. But I like to keep it a little bit close just to make sure that I don't drop every single card. So the setup for the spring is pretty simple. You just take your 3 fingers, your pointer finger, middle finger, and ring finger, and put them on top of the deck. You want your pinky to be on the side, and you want your thumb right on the bottom, just kind of for support. So there's kind of 2 phases to this trick. There's the build-up phase, and then like the releasing phase. And so the build-up, all you do is literally just bend the cards like this, okay? So that's kind of what it looks like, all right? And so this can actually be kind of a difficult thing. Like if you have a brand new deck with really stiff cards, or if you have kind of smaller hands, it may be kind of difficult to bend an entire deck and create a bunch of pressure. And if that's the case, you can just use a smaller portion of the deck, you know, a half a deck, a third of a deck, whatever you want. And that'll just make it considerably easier for you to kind of bend the cards and keep your hand like this. So once you have the cards bent, all you got to do is basically just kind of release with your thumb, and the cards will shoot out on their own. So just like this. You have the cards here, you release with your thumb, just kind of just easing up the pressure, and the cards, since they're bent, they'll kind of straighten out and shoot out. And then what you want to do is try to catch as many of them as you can in your other hand. This is kind of a tougher one, definitely. I mean, I'm not great at it, if I'm being honest. And I've known how to do it for a couple of years. Never gotten it to be super amazing, but I'm sure that with a ton of practice, you can make it look beautiful. And yeah, that's how you do a spring. Alright, so now onto the double lift. And the double lift is super cool. It's essentially just the idea of grabbing the top 2 cards from the deck and making it look like you're grabbing just 1 card. And this is like a building block of a ton of different card tricks. And if you're ever really interested in getting into card magic, being able to do a good double lift is super important. But again, with just a little bit of practice, you can really get it looking good. So I'll kind of give you an example. So right now, my top card is this Jack of Clubs. The second from the top is this Ace of Hearts. So I have a deck like this, and I'm gonna do a little double lift, and boom. It looks like the Ace of Hearts is the top card, right? But in fact, the Jack is still on top, and I'm holding both of them. So the setup for a double lift is interesting. When I am about to do a double lift, it's usually kind of in the middle of a card trick, and I like to be kind of like chatting and distracting the people that I'm doing the trick to, because I don't want them to be looking super closely at my hands. Because the more they're looking at your hands, the harder it is to manipulate the cards in the way that you want. So as I'm talking, I like to do this kind of rolling thing with the cards. So I'll show you from this. So that's basically just what I'm doing with my thumb, just rolling the cards. And I like to do it a bunch of times, just to kind of make it seem like I'm just playing with the cards and not really doing anything important. But then, at one point, as I'm doing that, you create something called a Pinkie Break. And so a Pinkie Break is essentially just separating certain cards from the rest of the deck. So here's an example of a Pinkie Break. So as you can see, there are a couple cards above my pinky, and there are a bunch of cards, the rest of the deck, below my pinky. So what we want to do is create a Pinkie Break where we have just the top 2 cards on top of my pinky. So again, you can do this rolling thing, like la da 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 da, no big deal. Just kind of casually doing a card trick, nothing special. And you kind of insert your pinky in there, and then what I like to do, once I have my pinky in place like this, is I continue doing the rolling thing just with the cards on top of my pinky. And this is to count out how many cards I actually have above the Pinkie Break. And so if I have 2, that's perfect. Like, that's exactly what we're going for. But, right now, I'm counting them out, and I have 3. So that's not exactly perfect, but it's a super easy fix. All you gotta do is just continue doing the rolling thing and isolate that one card that you don't want and just put it right onto your pinky. So you take it from 3 cards above your pinky to 2 cards above your pinky, and then you're ready to do this perfect double lift. So I have this Pinkie Break right here, and this is kind of what it looks like. So as you're about to do this double lift, you use your thumb holding the cards to slide those 2 cards out, okay? And then I like to use kind of my ring or middle finger and my thumb and kind of put them on the corner of those 2 cards to keep them together. And as I do that, I'm holding the cards together, I'm kind of rotating them around this part of my thumb, and then I bring the card up like this, and it looks like it's 1 card, but it's actually 2. So that's my preferred method. There's like a slightly easier one, which I'll show you, which is instead of kind of doing this like sweeping gesture like that, you can just grab the cards with your pointer finger and your thumb, just like this, and just rotate the cards like this. And boom, you have a nice a nice little double lift, you know? It looks like you got one, but hey, look at that, you got two. Pretty great. I don't love this method quite as much, just because it's a tiny bit less, like, authentic. Like, a person may see you going like this with the cards and maybe like, huh, is that dude up to something? Like, why is this person grabbing the cards like this and like rotating them in this slightly weird way? But if you do it quickly and smoothly, it's totally fine, and it works super well, and like nobody's ever gonna know that you're just grabbing two cards instead of one. But I kind of like the other method a little bit better, just because of this one thing, which is like this popping noise that you get. So I'll show it to you again. So got the double lift, rotating it around, and here's the pop. Okay, so that little popping noise really helps to give the illusion that it's a single card, because people see the card bend and kind of snap back, and it really just makes it seem super authentic. So that's kind of why I prefer that method a little bit to the other one, but both are totally good. And so a nice little way to practice this double lift is you can take three cards, any three cards that you like, and do kind of a mini card trick with them. So again, the top two cards are the same, so we're focusing on the ace here, and then this third card is super random. It doesn't matter what it is. So here's just a super basic card trick, okay? So I do the pinky break, all right? So I've got, in this case, I only have one card underneath the pinky, but that's fine. And then I have the two cards that I'm gonna lift up above my pinky. And so I go like, okay, let me just look at the top card, all right? So boom. We have the top card, which is the ace of hearts. The ace of hearts isn't actually the top card, it's the jack. So then we rotate it back, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the ace of hearts on the bottom of the deck, but it's actually the jack that's at the bottom of the deck. And so now the ace of hearts is actually on top of the deck, but everybody thinks that it's on the bottom because you just did like this perfect, super smooth, awesome double lift. So now you can be like, okay, let's look at the top card. And boom, look at that. It's the ace of hearts. So people are going to be like, whoa, how'd you get the ace of hearts to go from the bottom of the deck to the top of the deck? That's like super duper cool. And you're like, thanks, wow. So there you go. That's kind of the intro to creating a double lift. Alright friends, well I hope that you enjoyed my little intro card magic tutorial today. I know that I sure had fun making it. The spring one that I did, it took me like so many tries to get it right because I'm really not very good at it. Like, I just really have a tough time with that one. But hey, super fun. And these intro card tricks are super great for a time like right now, which is where unfortunately a lot of us are kind of stuck in our homes with not too much to do. Working on card tricks and kind of intro stuff like this is perfect for this situation because all you need is a deck of cards, and you can practice it like in front of the TV or having a conversation with a friend. Like when I first got into card tricks, I almost always had a deck on me, and I was just constantly kind of playing around with the cards, and it's just so easy. You know, they're so portable. It's just great. So remember, all you need to do is practice these things a little bit, and you'll get them really nice and smooth. The spring one is a little bit difficult, so if you don't get it right away, and that goes with all of these, if you don't get them right away, don't get frustrated. It takes a whole lot of time to practice and master these little things. But if you give it enough practice, you can definitely make them look really good. Particularly the fan is really nice if you get it nice and smooth, and you can kind of like close it back up, and it's just like a nice thing that just kind of looks impressive and is just great. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial. I hope that you are all having as much fun out there as you possibly can, and kind of trying to spread that camp joy that we all have. I hope that you're all staying really safe. And yeah, this is Jeff signing off. Thank you.